I could add this to my last video, but I'll make a separate video of this. Maybe I'll just title this "The Moral Decay of Society" or "The Family Unit" or something like that. Kind of fits in with a little bit into what's going on, across the country regarding the breakdown of the family unit, over many generations. And I had a really good conversation the other night with a friend of mine I grew up in a neighborhood with, and we had some, we talked about some really deep personal things. And she told me, because I've had a tendency over the years to look at, and I have a landscaping business in my, in my 20s and stuff, and I'd look at, I kind of just looked around, and I'd observe, certain couples and families, and I just noticed that things were a little different. Some were, pretty well off, and it seemed like their kids became, well educated or whatever. But the family unit was pretty important. And I've seen that, over time, some successes with the family unit. I got this couple that I do some work for, and and they had their children, boy and a girl. It became all about them. And I was talking to their mom the other day, and she says it's still all about them. But I watched these kids excel, and I watched his family excel, because Dad could, knew that it was time to focus on what he decided, and along with his wife, to give birth to children, that they have to be more important than themselves, especially in the early stages of life. I mean, I think his wife does some work with like psychology kind of work, things like that, counseling or whatever. But so she had a little bit of background. But I was talking to this gal, like I said, last week about things like that, and she said, Steve, I just saw some things, and I went to get some help and stuff, and I don't know, if it was talking to somebody, maybe reading books or whatever, but she said I needed to break that chain. I said I just noticed that you got a pretty good family structure, and your kids are going off to college and whatever, and she said, yeah, I just needed to break that chain. Doesn't happen with, probably a low percentage of that happens, and unless we learn how to break those chains, or that chain, it's not going to look so good, and that's what we're seeing right now. You could blame one person or another person, but if you got a real strong family unit, and people that are raised to be respectful, and things like that, I just watching these guys, the Jesse Jacksons and the Sharptons, it makes me sick. I heard that he went into Ferguson, and I don't think he had any intentions to bring peace to that place, because they basically booed him, and then he hands out a collection plate, from what I heard. I mean, how sick is that? It's like the charlatan con artist. And they're going to continue to play this game as long as people are going to buy into this game. Now, perhaps maybe, developing a real strong community, a community of brothers and sisters, regardless of, regardless of blood, regardless of race. There have been times in history when, on the other side, unfortunately, of the world, people have gotten along just fine until other people came in and corrupted it. And they had intentions of doing that. That was their intention, of basically divide and conquer. So don't pay attention to these people. become strong within yourself, and hopefully you can reflect and shine that light upon others, you know, to become strong and within themselves too, and to make a difference within your community. And I mean, you believe what one person can do. It's amazing what one person can do, and how it would spread. You know, whatever you decide to do. Maybe you form a group of people that meet once a week, and you discuss things and how you can, you know, even working within your community with certain leaders, as long as they're not corrupt, discussing things about how to make your community better. You know, what you're lacking. Maybe creating volunteer groups to deal with children that are from single family homes, you know, brought up in, you know, perhaps a welfare state type community. Not saying that that is, or that, you know, or what's going on there is. Not at all. But I think if when people see somebody changing and, you know, developing a better way of life, I really do believe that someone will step in and give them a chance. Now, you may have a bad track record. You may need somebody maybe close to you, a personal friend or something like that, to help you. Because there's certain things, you know, for maybe certain things that people have done in their past that's going to reflect on their ability to, you know, to be able to work at certain places or whatever, like, you know, things like that. So, you know, the odds might be against them in certain instances. But, you know, I do believe that eventually, if the person is honest and true, that good things will come to them. I just feel that way. So, anyways, this is kind of a RE to the last video. I wanted to include some stuff in on this, but I really feel that. Oh, you know, another thing too. You know, I watch these buildings being burnt down, and you know, this is a positive for the people that want this stuff to happen. When we've gone into countries and basically wiped them out, guess what happens? We go in and build the new country on the backs of the citizens, and they basically become slaves. So that's how the game's played. You know, insurance is going to step in. People make money off of that. Companies that have to supply products to rebuild the buildings, they make money off that. You know, restock. It's yeah. I think you know where I'm getting at. So sometimes maybe we need to think before we act and really understand what's really underneath it all. Take care. Bye bye.